Welcome to At Live with Irenia. I'm very excited to bring you this episode today. I'm your host, Irenia Roussel. This podcast was designed for you in mind to inspire and infuse you with the energy you need to take action in your life journey. You'll hear epic stories of people from all walks of life from around the world who are not afraid to share their life journey with you. From epic failures to epic wins, this show will give you some quick hacks and a big boost to help you find your vibes wherever you may be in your life journey. So tune into this dial, relax, and enjoy the vibes. Welcome to At Live with Irenia. Today, I'm delighted to be in conversation with Marcelo Lu, CEO of BASF, a global Fortune 500 company, which operates in more than 80 countries around the world and has a broad range of portfolios, including chemicals, plastics, performance products, and crop protection to oil and gas. Marcelo is originally from Brazil and is currently living in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, with his family. Welcome, Marcelo.
Yeah, thank you, Rihanna. Great to be here.
I'm delighted to be interviewing you here today. I believe you have a fantastic story to tell in terms of your journey to becoming where you are today. And just give us a little bit about your backstory, please.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Brazil, as you mentioned. I moved out of Brazil when I was 12. I moved to the U.S., actually. Did all my middle school, high school, and then even university there. Also part of the university experience, went to France and Spain, which was a great opportunity also to live in Europe for some time. And then after living in the U.S. for almost 14 years and working at the World Bank, I moved to Germany, which moved to the company that I work today, BASF, to the headquarters in Germany. And with them, after a couple of years, I also moved to Hong Kong and lived there for 7 years. And in the last 4 years, I've been in Canada. Yeah, so it's been a very interesting journey, moving around a lot and adapting to new cultures as I go.
So normally I would dub you a globalist, but how do you see yourself? Having experienced so many different places in terms of consuming different culture and working in these different business environments.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. If you're a Brazilian, you never become un-Brazilian. Yeah, so I'm Brazilian at heart. But along the way, I would like to think that I took quite a bit of learnings from the time that I was in the U.S., from the time that I was in Europe, and of course, Asia was a very enriching experience, not only culturally, but also the speed that everything is happening or was happening there, and of course now Canada, which basically is a very nice summary of where I've been before. So these years here in Canada has really summarized all my experiences into one, which happy to get into if we get there.
Fantastic. So you've made a lot of pivots in your life. Let's talk about some of those. Starting from the beginning, maybe from high school?
Yeah. So, one of the big pivots that I think never thought it would have been a career pivot, but I did it in high school, was when I basically applied to university. Yeah. I got to a couple of the universities there. Mm-hmm. In the U.S. And my father in particular, he was very adamant that I should be going to University of Chicago, which is a university where a lot of the Brazilian economists go to. Yeah.
Yes.
But back then I said, I would like to do something a bit different. I would like to be a diplomat, which is still in line, but do something a bit more international. And that's what brought me to Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. And that really created a pivot in a way that, this experience in Georgetown allowed me to do an internship and then get a position at the World Bank, which at that time I believe I was one of the youngest people in the staff that became staff of the World Bank, and get involved in some amazing projects. And that experience actually opened my eyes and my understanding of how world is very different in different parts, because that was a work that we do with many countries. The project that I was in was with more than 150 countries.
Yes.
And those learnings, of course, is what I try to put a lot of it today, even in a corporate environment now.
Absolutely. Really love hearing, how your dad wanted you to do one particular thing, and you were able to really decide for yourself, what was best for you. And as a result of that decision, you got exposed to so much more. And we know that mentors in our lives have such impact in terms of the trajectory of our lives. And I'm sure your dad has been a great mentor to you. Just asking, how have mentors impacted your journey along the way?
Yeah, and I think it's exactly as you started to describe it. I mean, I don't not respect my dad's opinion, right? But I think he was trying to guide to what he thought was the best at that moment. But to your point, there is a moment where you also need to take care of yourself and really see what is your calling, right? And what is good for you. And mentors throughout my life, I mean, I've had many. And I think most of my mentors don't know that they were mentors to me, which is interesting. But I would argue you always need a mentor where you are in life, be it for family topics or for work topics, that become sort of an escape valve where you can really say truthfully and just offload a lot of your concerns or topics that you have in mind. That for me has always worked very well, and I have those people that I can always rely on and to be an escape valve. But also in career is those telling you or not telling you, but really asking some very good questions and trying to just steer you and giving you good advice on how to navigate a company. In a company like the one that I'm in, where more than 100,000 people, you can really get lost in the corporate jungle. It's always good to have people that is there to be supportive and provide some kind of steering. The last thing I would say about mentors is it is maybe not what they are telling you, but how and what they are doing. And a lot of times the way I see mentors is I observe great leaders and how they are able to interact and really generate passion and purpose on people. And I try my best to emulate that the best I can. These are types of mentors that I've had in my life, and I still have them, and I treasure them.
I love that. That's a great nugget in terms of, when you look at mentors, you observe great leaders who generate passion and purpose, because that is so important, having that passion for what we do in life, and as well that purpose-driven life. Let's expand on that purpose area. What does that look like for you as a leader?
Yeah, and I mean that it needs to go back to people, right? And it's in many different ways, and it's maybe a cliche, but if there is something that motivates me and that it's fuel to me, is to be connected and learn from people. Yeah.
Yes.
And how can we impact lives on a positive way always, yeah, and try to do that. So for me, all the way again from the work that I did in the World Bank. The World Bank is an institution that is there to support countries, especially those that are emerging and maybe still have a good period of development, and really bringing them above the poverty line. And not only that, really promote growth and prosperity for everybody. So have intentional actions that one can do that supports this. So in a company like BASF, we have a lot of materials that help people, live better with comfort, be it in the home or have mobility. We supply a lot into car parts that are safe material, right? Mm-hmm. Also allowing for protection of the environment. A lot of the products that we put forth is helping reduce emissions or reduce or better use resources. And I think this is the kind of purpose that people are looking for. I mean, in a world that we are in today, where you have quite a bit of a lot of information and a lot of, let's say, manipulated information. Yes. It's always good to get the positive spin of things, and that is, I think, what people like to hear and get purpose from is the positivity and the good news that people are able to influence and do.
Absolutely, I agree, in terms of getting the right information, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. And, this is a nice segue into current times. Obviously, we're in lockdown for the last 3.5 weeks because of COVID. And, a lot of companies are looking at, new business process. Everything has been turned upside down in a matter of a couple of weeks for many different companies. And what advice would you have to share to other CEOs, your peers, who are leading firms and people in this crisis time?
Yeah, I think first and foremost is communication.
Yes.
And being able to be ahead of the curve on communication, right? And a lot of it. And somebody once told me that in order to communicate something effectively, you have to do it 7 times in 7 different ways. So this is interesting because usually in a process, in a business, you want to be efficient. You don't want to duplicate things. You don't want to triplicate things. Yeah. But when you have a situation like we are in today, yeah, it is very important that people feel that they are informed. Yeah, and that needs to be done with a lot of transparency and be genuine about it. Yeah. Even in the tough news or the tough periods, I think that is very important. Another one is, assume positive intent, right? So I think there is a lot, there's a way that we used to work or had been working in the office, alignments, meetings, they were done a certain way. Now the communication is a bit different. It's more by email and quick phone calls to do alignment. And there are things that maybe get misinterpreted and people assume maybe negative intent and, people wanting to overstep or anything like that. I think it takes time to readjust. Yeah. And so alignment process is very important, but also people should be a bit open to do things a bit differently. And the last thing that I think goes back to purpose and it goes back to giving the right message is visuals. Yeah. Create good visuals, really literally visuals, graphics, that people can see what success can look like, and really wherever possible get the message out that we are going through this, and because we are doing this or that differently, we're going to come out stronger on the other end. So give people some kind of inkling of what there could be if we do these things right. Yeah. So these are some of the things that I'm trying to implement, but of course, always trying to observe and learn from others as well.
Yes, as the old adage goes, seeing is believing. So definitely, having that visual and bringing everybody on board in terms of that new vision, that pivot that's being undertaken during this, time of crisis is definitely important. And I love what you said in terms of assuming positive intent, from the teams, right? Because that is so important, because right now the people who work for organizations, they are really the most valuable resource, right, over money and profits. Because with healthy people, the bottom line will always be there. With unhealthy people, then, there will be a dent, of course, to the bottom line. That's totally obvious. So I love that, you're thinking in that way. That's some great advice that you're sharing here. In terms of the role of science and technology in the work that you're doing, how important is that right now, even more so, to become innovative?
Yeah, I think it's vital. I mean, we go back to the discussion we just had. The world is needing a lot of information now, and we need to go back to facts and science. Yeah, in a lot of it. Yeah?
Yes.
And of course, this needs to be able to marry with people's belief as well. So fully respecting that. But it's very, very important that we look at science and technology, especially what we need to adapt today. So if we didn't have all these different tools now, and we hadn't implemented them in the last couple of years, like good video conferencing, good cloud storage of files, all these things, we would be in an enormous different situation, even I would argue worse situation. And with all the fast medicine that one can do now, it's amazing when all these countries and all these scientists are coming together and being able to innovate and be creative about converting automotive lines to produce ventilators. Yeah, so you can the science and technology is absolutely vital for what humanity is and where it will go, and of course. Needing to use this for the good, of course, is always important. Yeah, so there's always a checks and balances. But I would argue very, very vital for us to keep innovating, to keep using science and technology in everything that we do.
Absolutely. Marcelo, a number of companies, around the world are retooling their manufacturing plants to meet the current need that has arisen due to COVID-19. Is your company working on initiatives around retooling the plants?
Yes, we are currently investigating in Canada how we are able to retool one or the other, or one or two plants that we have in our system. But we have started to do this globally, and specifically in Europe and in Germany. We basically have retooled. I believe now we are up to 3 facilities that is able to now produce hand sanitizers. Yeah, and we are producing this, of course, in masses, and donating this to the communities where we produce, and also other institutions or areas where people are in need of this. It's very clear that the demand that is coming out of these cleaning products, hand sanitizers, disinfectants, has surged, but we can also imagine that even after we are able to succeed beyond COVID-19, there will be a heightened awareness around, let's say, disinfecting and also health related, I would say, sanitary processes. So we see that not only value is to do it now, and of course help immediate communities, but also look going forward how we are able to position ourselves and help, what it is to come.
That is absolutely fantastic to hear. That your company is able to move this quickly in order to serve the needs of the community at this time, and of course, look forward to hearing more about what's happening for your company in Canada. So let's move on to um, you know in terms of right now, of course, there are a lot of people, a lot of job losses, a lot of changes in different work environments. What advice would you have for young people who are in corporate or who are thinking of getting into the corporate world? Some of them, June is around the corner, where a lot of students would be graduating, from university, looking at what next, right, in their life.
Yeah. I mean, there is something that I've been telling younger colleagues for a long time. I'm still the issue is a lot of times when people look at me and they meet me, they think that I'm also just as young as they are. So it's always a little bit difficult to get people to take me a bit serious. But one of the things that I always tell colleagues when they ask for this type of advice is that we should really remain curious. Yeah, don't ever let people cut your curiosity and your creativity, but also be patient. Yeah, and this is usually confusing colleagues because usually these two don't go together. Yeah, but I think it's very important when one arrives in any situation, be it their own company, and of course this is a little bit more fast moving, but also even in a corporation, that you are very curious and you listen a lot in the beginning, and then you start implementing based on your creativity so that you can also be able to show up, right? So that people say, wow, this person here, there's something special. They are curious, they have energy, they are doers, they want to change something. So be a good change agent. But there are times when, of course, this needs to be measured and this needs to be, assessed not only by the individual but also by the company, and there needs to be a good medium there. But the colleague should also be patient. Yeah, and there are times when you are growing very quickly, and all of a sudden there is a learning period that you arrive. And if you try to leave that learning period very quickly, you are actually doing a disfavor to yourself, in my opinion, right? So a lot of times I see colleagues that are doing a great job. They are really punching well above their weight. They're ultra curious. They're ultra innovative. They're going to be adding a lot of value, not only for themselves on learning, but to the company. And then they say, well, I am not, developing quick enough. I'm going to hop off. And then, only to know that, a year and a half later, they say, oh, the new job is not as interesting or with the degree of freedom that I had before. So it's very important that once you find the groove and you find a learning moment where you're still learning, it's important that you're still learning, that you become a bit more patient and really suck all the learnings out of that position, and if that takes a little bit longer, I think it's good to also have some stability and knowing what you're doing fully, right? So it takes time until you can really be fully on board in a position and add value. So it's also good to be patient and choose the position wisely that you want to stay for this learning period.
That is such great advice. I love it. I think our audience are really going to enjoy this, for those curious, energetic individuals who are doers and really looking to, progress along their career journey. So in terms of you, Marcelo, how important is it, in terms of work-life integration for you? Because as a CEO, I imagine you have lots of demands on your time. You also have a very young family. How do you balance it all?
Yeah, to be honest, I thought about this question a bit, and I and I'm still working on it. Let me put it this way.
Yes.
I will, of course, like to be a lot more present for the family. But of course, work is demanding, as you mentioned. And a lot of times people really focus on that, the family and then work. But down the road, the self factor or the me factor really becomes a problem, if you don't take care of yourself or oneself. So what I've been trying to do is say, okay, of course I cannot say, I take 10 hours a day for myself. This is not the case. Yes. But really have, throughout the day, if every day, if it's possible, to have a me moment. So is that doing, a nice ride in my cycling bike, or is it a yoga, or is it just reading a small excerpt or an article, or watching TV without really watching it? Yes. I think it's very important that it allows me to center myself back, because it's like in an airplane, right? So you first need to take care of yourself before you can take care of others, and I really believe in this. Because if I am more centered and I have let's say a good spirit around where I am, I will be able to be there for my family and my colleagues.
I absolutely agree. We all need to, work on ourselves first, in order to be able to help others. In terms of, your superpower, what is it?
Yeah, I think I gave it away a little bit already. I would say my superpower is people. Yeah, I'm a very social being, and I take a lot of energy and fuel being around people and being connected. And of course, having the positivity of those people, right? So if I am I'm hanging out with people that are usually a bit negative, this will affect me negatively, because that's what I'm taking from them. So I would argue the biggest kryptonite I have is if I am secluded, like I am these days, a bit in a basement, and maybe have a lot of negativity coming. This is where I need to be careful that I don't let go of my superpower, because when I am connected to people and people are very positive, it's amazing. I even surprise myself how much energy I have and how much more creativity and ideas I can have with this. So this is I would argue is my superpower. Is getting the energy from positive people.
Yeah, I can absolutely relate. I love surrounding myself with people who have high energy and who look forward to, each day and discovering new things, despite any challenge they're facing. And so I can relate to that. That's awesome. In terms of current projects, what is, something you're working on that just totally have you on fire right now?
Yeah, and it was even before this COVID-19 situation. We have a very interesting project that BASF is trying to promote, and we're trying to pioneer this in Canada. It is around circular economy and plastic circularity. So I really enjoy and I find a lot of let's say purpose around sustainability topics. And the plastic issue is a real one. I think we don't need all the pictures and all the depictions to really realize that we have a situation where we use a lot of material without really thinking how to unuse it or how to reuse it, right? So from that perspective, we did launch a pilot project where we have developed in BASF with a partner a tracer that allows you to embed a tracer. And there are many types of tracers. There's not only this one, but this one in particular is interesting because we're trying to prove that it can be put into the plastic on a molecular level in all parts of the plastic. So it's not like a label. Tracer, it's really all over, and you're able to, and this tracer is able to survive the extrusion step and even the recycling step, which usually would destroy the tracer. So you're not able to really trace the plastic whole life cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And so with this, we are able to really prove that you are able to produce the plastic and then start using it again with that traceability. Yeah? And we are implementing a type of a blockchain platform on top of it,
Yes.
where we do a digital copy of the physical plastic movement with the digital movement. And
Yes.
with that, we are going to be able to prove for brand owners that their plastic that they are using, which they have these claims like 30% recycled or 50% recycled,
Yes.
that they can do these claims a little bit more with weight behind it. Yeah, because at the moment it's very difficult for a brand owner to be able to prove materially that all these plastics are really fully recycled, not only on a mass balance but really physically. Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you see this work, impacting the future?
Once you're able to prove circularity, you are able to really bring value.
Yeah.
Bring value to recycled material. So what is the big problem about recycled material today? It is more expensive to produce,
Mm-hmm.
which is crazy, right? Recycled material now is more expensive to produce than a virgin material that you create from zero. And the main issue that it has is sorting. So there's a lot of sorting problems because there are many different types of plastic.
Mm-hmm.
This pilot would allow you, or we are trying to prove in this pilot, that you are able to sort a lot more efficiently with this.
Yeah.
And with that efficiency, you reduce the cost of the recycled material, which then becomes an incentive for people to use more of the recycled material with the sustainability value that comes on top of it, so that more and more people think more about the design of how do I do a plastic that can then be recycled more cheaper, and I can keep reusing on infinite loops. Yeah, so that is really visionary and something that we're trying to put a lot of energy and ideas behind. It's a bit aspirational for sure, but it's definitely doable. Yeah, so that's the big message that I always say is the issue is really coordinating all these players that are within the value chain to buy into doing the pilot.
Mm-hmm.
But from a technology and science perspective, which we discussed,
Yes.
it's absolutely manageable.
Well, that's absolutely fascinating, and I wish you the best with this pilot project for sure. Let's segue into a pivotal moment in your life where you've experienced an epic fail, and how did you overcome this?
Epic fail. So I think you used the right word. A lot of people like to say, "Oh, you need to be able to fail fast." It's okay. I think I fully understand where people are coming from. I would like to say that people need to be pivoting. You never really
Yes.
fail if you learn from it. So, and if I think of an epic fail,
Yeah.
really, I would say my epic fail is not marrying my wife earlier. Yeah.
Okay.
That was my epic fail. So I've overcome it. I'm very happy now. So I wouldn't have an epic fail. Yeah. I pivoted and I eventually made it happen. So we are very happy for this. At least I am.
Well, that's fantastic. I'm sure she's very lucky to have you. And so we're moving on to the more personal side and looking at what are some of the morning rituals that you have, to really give you that push for the day, to set you on your tone.
Morning ritual is I need to take a shower. Within 20 minutes that I'm out of bed, I need it. Yeah? It's, I used to be a competitive swimmer when I was in high school and a little bit of university. And I love the water. Yeah? Mm-hmm. And maybe because I'm Aquarian. Yeah, I was born in Aquarius.
Okay.
I need water to be splashing on me, at least in the beginning of the day.
Yes.
Yeah. And that really. If I'm able to take a nice shower without being rushed and without being late, I really set myself up for a good day. Yeah, and then of course having a cup of coffee or tea and a nice breakfast is always a good thing for the day.
That's absolutely awesome. Where do you get your best innovative ideas? Is it at work
That
or in another environment?
it's interesting. It used to be to the commute to work.
Yes.
So this is interesting, and a lot of my colleagues would always get very upset at me because I'm either calling them right before the day begins or right at the end of the day when people are going home, and I'm calling them from the car.
Yeah.
Because I'm having these splurge of ideas. Yeah. So, but now working from home, I never thought of this. I need to think of where I'm getting my ideas. Maybe being here in the basement and looking at the ceiling is enough. Yeah.
What is your last song on repeat? Because we all know that music, helps to change the physiology or energy in our bodies. And what is your last song on repeat that you've been listening to for a while now?
I don't know how to do this now, but in the past when I had the first iPod, I already had this song on repeat, and it's a song from the movie Gladiator. Yeah. It's called "I Am Free." Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Now we are free. Yeah. And it's an instrument song, and I always listen to it when I am going to sleep, or when for example, I'm just typing emails. I love to listen to that song. It's been with me since university time, and I still use it today. And now we are free from the Gladiator soundtrack.
That's absolutely awesome. Do you have any book recommendations for our audience or listeners?
Yeah, a great book, more for the person or for the self is The Alchemist. Yeah, I think I've read it 3 or 4 times. It's by Paulo Coelho, and it's really about somebody going on a life journey, and trying to understand the universe and what the universe is putting in front of him in that case. Yeah, so I really love that book, and very inspirational. And actually, it reminded me, and I should read it again because now is a good time to read it again.
That's awesome. That's fascinating. I will check it out myself. Do you have any last words of wisdom to share with our audience? Because we are wrapping this interview up.
Last words of wisdom is keep positive. Try to be a good influence to people. That's what I always try. I may need to try harder sometimes, but have good intentions, and I think the world needs that. So that would be maybe not a wisdom, but something that I am trying to live, especially these days, where I think we do need positive news.
Absolutely. Love it. Having good intentions in life, being positive, being a good influence, that is all fantastic nuggets for our audience. I love, the fact that we went through, so many different questions, from your innovative project that you're working on at your company to talking about, giving some really great advice to the young ones coming up, to remain curious and patient, no matter what, and to continue with the learning in order to make the pivot at the right moment. So really enjoyed our interview. Marcelo, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the time, and the space.
You're welcome. So for our listeners who want to know and connect with you, how can they contact you?
Yeah, I am on Twitter. I think you will be able to post the handle, but it's Marcelo Rocha, Rocha, Lu, Lu, number 1. So that's my Twitter handle, and people can find me at LinkedIn on Marcelo Lu. Yeah, I'm happy to connect.
Awesome. I will drop this in the show notes so our audience can have that information. To my listeners, if you found some value in this episode, please do share it with a friend, because there is so much valuable nuggets here that I think that we all can value from this, from the knowledge that Marcelo has just shared with us. And also, please do subscribe to this podcast and write us a review. We love to hear how our episodes have impacted your life journey, how your trajectory changed as a result of one of our episodes. And that's it. Thank you so much for tuning into this dial. I'm Irene Roussel, your host.